welcome to Nick Needs to Know. Get ready for some raw and honest discussions as I bring on guests from all walks of life to spill the beans on their career journeys, the hurdles they faced and the invaluable lessons they learned along the way. So let's dive into the nitty-gritty and uncover the good, the bad and the ugly of chasing our dreams and finding our way in this crazy world. Hello, join me as I take the Nick Needs to Know podcast to Heaton Park in Manchester for a walk and talk with a fantastic Dave Ellis. We explore the park, delve into Dave's career journey and chat about the impactful decisions he's made along the way, shaping his life. And if you're ready for a surprising twist, buckle up for a fascinating conversation about kebabs. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. So grab your virtual boots and let's embark on this engaging walk and talk with Dave. Morning, Dave.
Morning, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Nice sunny morning in Manchester.
I know you brought
today.
it with you, it was chucking it down this morning.
Yeah. Whereabouts are we this morning then?
Heaton Park. Heaton Park in Manchester, North Manchester. It's Europe's largest public park.
Europe's largest?
Yeah. I don't know what the square footage is, but it's quite huge.
Yeah, well, when I googled it, I had to message and say, where do you want to make this? Looks massive.
It's got the public park itself, and it's got a pitch and putt, 9-hole pitch and putt, I think, or is it 18? I can't remember. I've never really been on it. But then they've got an 18-hole championship golf course on the other side of it as well. So it's quite impressive, to be honest.
And do you play golf yourself?
I do, yeah, when I can. I've swapped roles over the last couple of years, so my rota's changed. So we used to get days off in the week. Yeah. So this is sort of my spiritual home. I'll always come back to this golf course rather than go somewhere else. And but now my role's changed. I'm on sort of Monday Friday rota, so don't really play at the weekend because it can be quite a long day.
Yeah.
And
what is that due to it being busy or?
It's just It's sort of most people are on a Monday Friday sort of deal at work. So the Will and his dog gets on in the morning, and the round normally takes about 3 hours, can take anything up to 6 hours.
Wow!
And it's just a long day.
Yeah.
You know, and you could be doing so much more as well.
No, it does look nice. So I were expecting a storm to be here today, but it's blue skies above us.
No, we're doing all right.
Bit of wind.
Yeah, we're doing all right.
Oh.
Just a bit hilly, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, mate. As you can probably pick up by my heavy breathing. But no, I appreciate you spending some time with me today to talk about your career.
Yeah, no worries.
Past and present.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you could take me back to what your first job was.
First job was at a supermarket called Gateway. I don't think it's here anymore. I think it got took over by many other companies, and I think it's ended up being a co-op. But yeah, I didn't really enjoy school that much, to be honest. So, but then when I started work, kind of realised that I'd fudged it up at school a little bit. So I just put everything into it. So started off as you would do in a supermarket, just sort of stacking shelves and stuff. Yeah. And then over the years, I ended up being swap companies. I went to another company that doesn't exist anymore, Quick Save.
Quick Save, yeah.
Yeah. Ended up being assistant manager there. But the money weren't great, if I'm honest, and the hours were long. The sort of working time regulation that they've got, or directive should I say, didn't seem to apply to retail.
Yeah.
So you were doing 14, 15-hour days.
So what was your driver then to?
Second, sorry.
What was your driver then to go from stacking shelves?
It was just
to be an assistant manager.
I just realised that I'd messed up at school, and I didn't pay it as much attention as I should have done, and I just wanted to make a success of this rather than what I'd done at school.
And was that for yourself, or did you feel like you'd let others down at school? And
I think definitely parents. I think they was expecting me to do a lot better. And the last year probably wasn't the best year at school for me. So, and obviously that's the most important year as well. So when I realised that I kind of let them down a little bit in my eyes, I thought I'd better try and make a success of this. So yeah, pushed my way through it and ended up getting, it was quite successful in that role. But like I said, the hours were long, the money wasn't great, and I had a young family on the way as well. So I had to travel to Elland from Manchester in West Yorkshire every day.
Okay,
so
that's a fair drive then, isn't it?
Yeah, so I was leaving the house at 5-6 o'clock in the morning, wasn't getting home till 10 o'clock at night, so I was missing a good chunk of my daughter growing up.
Yeah.
And then I was having a chat with my brother-in-law, who was a taxi driver at the time, and he just said, why don't you try doing a couple of nights on the taxis at the weekend? So I went and did the test, the old knowledge test in Manchester. And the first night I was on the taxis, I actually made more money than I did in a full week when I was working at Quicksave.
Wow.
So I had a chat with a wife, and that was it. I just made the jump from being assistant manager to being a taxi driver. It was just a family-based decision more than sort of a career one.
And how was that decision finalised then? Because I'm guessing going from a sort of leadership position to driving taxis is...
Yeah, it's a massive job.
It's mentally massive as well, isn't it?
So I was... It was a bit difficult at first because you had a sort of position of respect within the community that you was working with.
Yeah.
And then you was just a singular, you was working on your own. Sorry, we're just walking past it.
Oh no, there's some roadworks here. We'll be past it in a minute.
But
wow.
But we were looking at wanting to buy our own house, and I knew with the money that I was earning with the supermarkets that it just wasn't feasible, and if it was, we'd be living on a shoestring budget. So it was a more financial decision than anything else. But to be honest, I enjoyed it, and I did it for about 8-9 years.
Yeah.
It's a real eye-opener. You end up becoming almost like a psychiatrist. People get in your taxi and they start talking, literally just start talking about the problems to you.
Yeah.
Some of them quite personal as well, because they know once they've shut the door that you're probably never going to see them again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I used to come home some night tales with the wife. Right. I think one that always stuck out was a young girl pulled up at the house, and a young girl come out with a load of bin bags and popped them in the back of the car, and her boyfriend's apologising to her like crazy, and she wasn't having any of it.
Yeah.
And she got in the car, and I picked her up in a place not far from here, and we was going to Warrington, which at the time was quite a decent job. So we set off driving, and it was a bit quiet, and she was crying in the back of the car, so I just said, are you okay? And she said, if I asked you if I was putting weight on, what would you say? It's a bit of a loaded question, that really, isn't it? I says, because if I say no, and you know you put a bit of weight on, then you know I'm lying. And if I say yes, and you haven't put any weight on, I'm in a whole world of pain. I said, so there's no real right answer to that. And then she went quiet for a couple of seconds. She went, I'd never thought of it like that. She said, turn the car around. So I went from what was a £35 job to a £2.50 job.
But you saved the relationship.
Well, I don't know, because when I pulled up outside the house, the guy come outside with a piece of pizza and a PlayStation controller, obviously looking forward to a quiet night on his own. And then she said, I've had a really good chat with a taxi driver, and he was looking at me as if he wanted to kill me. So I just took my £2.50 and got off. But yeah, it was good. It was good times, but times change, and as good as the job was, it's not a family job, because the best money to be made on a taxi is at night.
Unsociable hours, isn't it?
Very unsociable hours, yeah. And if you was to have a Saturday night off, for instance, if you were going to a do or something, it wasn't the money that you lost, it was also the money that you spent. So a night out could cost you upwards of £250 just because of what you've spent and what you would have lost on that night. So again, just a casual chat with somebody, and he mentioned that he worked for Virgin. Am I allowed to say Virgin?
Yeah.
He mentioned that he worked for Virgin. He was an installer for Virgin, and do I fancy giving it a go? And I jumped onto Virgin. and I was an installer for them for 3 years. Just ploughing cables through people's gardens, and it was my first sort of look into how people live, really, because as a taxi driver you literally get in your car and then they're out the car 5 minutes later, or however long the journey is. But to actually go into people's houses was a bit of a step back for me. It was a bit nervous, especially when you got to drill a hole through the wall and stuff like that, and it's one of the best jobs I have, even with Sky that I'm at now, is because you'll go into an house that's just a standard house, and then the next job you go to, you're in a multi-million-pound mansion. And it's like, well, I've walked into a guy's kitchen once. It was a footballer, and it was a glass floor kitchen, and you could look down through the glass and see into the swimming pool in the basement.
Wow.
And it's like, wow. So you get to see how the other half live.
And every day is different, I suppose, isn't it?
That's the main thing for me. Is I couldn't do an office-based job, not after I've done this. I'd find it really, really difficult to go to the same place and track the same journey, whereas the job that I'm in now, every day is completely different to the last one. And you have your good days and you have your bad days like any other visit, but it's just that you just have no idea what your day is going to bring.
Going from like stacking shelves to supervising manager, taxi driver, to then doing work with Virgin, and then what you're doing now, it's quite a mix of careers if you look at it like that, isn't it?
Yeah. I've always been family driven. I like spending time with my family, so I'm not chasing a CEO position or anything like that. I know what my limitations are, and I'm one of these people that shut off when they go home. We have half an hour having a bit of a talk about the day, but after that we very rarely talk about work. It's all what we're going to do this weekend, holiday plans and stuff like that. So I do try and switch off when I get home. I know people that talk about it all the time, and I think it interferes with your family life, and that's a big thing for me is just being able to switch off.
So you'd say all your decisions have been based around like a work-life balance situation?
Definitely. Yeah, I think it was the taxi driver thing that did it for me. It's not a family job. Especially when I had a young kid. I very rarely saw my daughter, because obviously I work nights, so I'd be finishing at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. If she were to go into basketball practice or netball practice or all the other practices that kids do, kind of miss that because you're trying to catch up on your sleep from the day before. So it's it's all about, for me, it's all about being at home with the family. I love nothing more than being at home, and my daughter lives quite close to me. She's only 5 doors down on a different street, so Friday night's a big night for us. We always have a takeaway or something like that, watch some car crash TV or something, and just
all round to yours.
She's got this dog as well that just sheds hair like you wouldn't believe. You can't believe how much hair this dog dropped. It takes us a good 2 hours the day after to clean up, but to be honest, it's worth it. We have a good time.
Also, the dog comes round as well, does he?
Oh yeah, the full it. Yeah. We get it's.
So looking back at your jobs that you've had then, Dave, which one would you say like defined who you are as a person the most, or which one would you say developed you as a person, or brought out a character in you that you probably never realised you had?
To be honest, I think it was being a taxi driver. Because being in the supermarkets, it was customer facing, but it was a fleeting customer facing. You literally, a customer asks you a question, 20 seconds later they were gone. And then when you start, when I was on the taxis and people are having in-depth conversations with you sometimes, because sometimes the journeys were quite long, and getting to know the different walks of life and people's own beliefs in whatever subject that we were talking about, it sort of made me stand up and think about my own beliefs, really, because I was quite shuttered off from any kind of political, religious or anything, any beliefs. I just have my own beliefs. But when you start talking to other people, you get their side of it and you think, oh, right, okay. Never really looked at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
And it sort of set me up for the job that I'm in now, because 90% of my job is listening. That I'm doing, the role that I'm doing now is 90% listening. So it has set me. Doesn't sound like it being a taxi driver, but it has set me up to be the person I am today.
Yeah. So it's like working with people, isn't it?
Yeah.
In any sort of environment, but.
And there's nothing funnier than people.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, I just love listening to some. You know, when you actually listen to a person, it opens them up a lot more. If you carry on butting in and sort of replying with your own sort of issues or whatever you've done that day, you're not really listening to them. It's just a conversation. Whereas most people, they'll talk to you, and then if you just leave it as a pause, they'll open up a little bit more. And the more you leave it, the more they'll open up to you.
Yeah.
And that's how I sort of get the most out of people.
And when did family come into it then in your career? You spoke about it briefly there, but was it early on in your career?
Yeah, it was. So I was only 20 when my daughter Emily came along, and I realised then I had a lot of growing up to do, because I was still going out with the lads on a Friday night type of thing.
Yeah.
And then I realised, and I was probably still a little bit immature as well. And then when I realised that I was going to be a dad, I think that was the switch. And I thought, right, I'm going to have to grow up, and I'm going to have to grow up quickly, because we live quite far away from parents and stuff, so relying on them wasn't really an option. So yeah, I think being a father sort of switched me on a little bit. Getting attacked by a dog.
He's a loud dog.
Yeah. Tell you what, we took a right up there.
Yeah.
He's coming back after us. Not sure aftershave, Nick.
The cat. So family life were a sort of an early achievement in your life then, wasn't it? 20-year-old is. Yeah,
it was. It were rocky at first, if I'm honest, because I was, 20-year-old. You're not the maturest person in the world.
Oh no.
And I had to grow up really quickly, but sort of the beauty of it as it now is my daughter's moved out and we've got sort of time to enjoy. So there's swings and roundabouts to having an early family. I missed out on all the Ibiza holidays with the lads and the Benidorms and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But now we're at a stage in our life where we haven't. I can't say we haven't got the worry, because you still worry.
They're still your kids, aren't they? Whatever age.
Yeah. She flew past me on the road this morning, and I know I was doing 30 mile an hour, but she weren't doing 30 mile an hour, and I wanted to get on the phone and go mad at her, but yeah, sometimes you just got to let go a little bit.
Yeah, that's how people learn, mate, by making mistakes.
But we borrowed a car because we've got a bit of an issue with our car, and my daughter's just been to Jamaica for 2 weeks, so we got ourselves insured in her car. And I texted her and said, "What's that knocking noise?" She went, "Don't worry about it, just turn the volume up on the radio." Just like, that's her kind of mentality, it's just like, that'd be alright, that.
Bit of black tape over the dashboard, got lights are flashing.
Yeah. And we got in it, and it come up to 12 miles fuel, and that's just my daughter all over that.
Just living on 10 quid's worth of fuel.
Living on fumes on the thing. And,
we've all done it, don't we? We've all been there.
Oh yeah. With my daughter, she just can't be bothered going to the petrol station.
Yeah.
And I won't mind she passes 2 on the way home, but it's just an effort to her to go to the petrol station.
It sounds like she's driving too fast to pull into them, which sounds it.
Yeah.
So do you feel like having a family early on has maybe give you a different mindset on work moving forward, or do you still see that as a priority for yourself? Now there's only 2 years in-house.
Yeah, it's had I think if I'd have had the Emily later in life, I probably would have focused on my career a little bit more. I probably would have looked at other opportunities in retail rather than just jumping ship and jumping onto essentially it was a financial incentive why I jumped onto the taxis.
Yeah.
Because I was making more in one night than I did for a week.
Yeah.
It just made financial sense, especially for a sort of young couple trying to scrape the deposit together for a mortgage and stuff. So I think, if I'd have had Emily later on, I probably would have focused on my career a little bit more than I did in the younger years. But I probably wouldn't change anything, if I'm honest, because you only have to change one thing, and I probably wouldn't have been working at Sky. And I've been at Sky now for 16 plus years, and I wouldn't swap a day of it, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have had that opportunity if I'd have gone down a different path. So I can turn around and say, I should have maybe done a little bit more.
But you did what you needed to do, right? So
yeah, it worked out well. I've got I've got a pretty decent life, if I'm honest.
I think the beauty of it with careers and stuff like that, there is no one size fits all, is there?
That's true. You might want to shoot for the stars and be CEO and everything like that, and other people just like to go to work, have that cut off, and come home and enjoy the rest of their life. Yeah.
Do you think your mindset's changed, like from present day looking forward?
Yeah, do you know, one of my biggest regrets is not coming off the taxes earlier and sort of coming into a company that had the progression.
Yeah.
I kind of got stuck in a rut as a taxi driver, just enjoying the money that it brought, because there is good money to it, or there was. I don't know what it's like now, because it's been 20 years. And you know, if a bill came in or a repair needed doing, you literally just went out and earned the money.
Yeah.
Whereas now you probably have to do a bit of budget cutting here and there. So there were benefits to doing it, but one of my regrets is I didn't come off it sooner. I should have just got the house and then maybe tried looking at something else. But again, if I'd looked at something else, I wouldn't be working for Sky. So I should have done it, but I'm glad I didn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But no regrets, though, no?
No.
Good.
Yeah, because like I say, you change one thing and the rest of your life sort of lines up to that. And I've got a really good role at the moment. I really enjoy the job. I enjoy the people that I work with, and I enjoy the company that I work with. So, if I'd have changed something in the past, then this probably wouldn't be what I'm doing now.
And where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh, that's a loaded question. To be honest, I don't know where this role's going to take me. I think I'm very good at listening to engineers and putting things into place that alleviate some of the struggles that they have. And I'd like to be something involved in that, maybe project management or Scrum Master or something like that. But I don't know, because my future in this role isn't certain at the moment, so I need a bit of stability first to find out where this role's going to take me as it stands, or is it going to go in a different direction? So I would like to do something with maybe project management or something within the same company, though. It takes a lot for me to leave this company.
Do you find that you enjoy being given problems and coming up with solutions yourself?
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I think that's one of the things that I probably missed at school, where it was all read a book, education, read a book.
Yeah.
I truly believe that the education isn't for everybody. I mean, you need your basics, but I know lads that are absolutely fantastic at bricklaying and joinery and stuff like that, and it was something that they learned outside of school. Whereas if you could just take them away a day a week and say, right, build a wall, or we'll show you how to build a wall, they've got a trade then when they leave school that they could just sort of step into.
Yeah, and again, the education system is more of a one size fits all sort of thing.
Yes.
It's not for everybody.
And I think that's where, I mean, I'm no politician, but I do think that needs a bit of a rejig and a bit of a rethink. And I know movement is going, but there's also, I do a lot of work with neurodiversity in my role, and spotting the signs of somebody who struggles with reading or struggles with with numbers and stuff like that, and I do think there needs to be more than that as well.
And where has that passion come from, Dave? Is that from your own experiences?
Yeah, I went out to help an engineer with a specific KPI.
Yeah.
And when we got talking, and what part of the KPI that he's involved in, he requires a lot of reading, and he just said, I can't read. And it's not something that I shout from the rooftops, but I can't read. So
yeah,
we've navigated around that, but then I started thinking, well, so how do you keep up with information at the business? We have briefs that come out almost weekly, or a technical brief that might come out. How do you navigate that? He said, well, I don't. I wait till somebody tells me. So I said, well, hang on, just navigate these dogs. So I felt it was a bit unfair for him to be left behind.
Yeah.
So I said, well, what happened? What if I find a way of you being able to read these briefs? And we've found different things on our devices that we use. Immersive reader and text to speak, where it actually reads back what you highlight what the text says and it reads it back to you. And it's made a world of difference. And off the back of that, we've found 4 or 5 engineers who struggle with the same issues. So we have a little group meeting on the Monday, and if there's any briefs that have popped up over the weekend or latter half of the week, we just read through them. I highlight it to them and then allow them to navigate their own way around it. But I just wanted to help somebody who, when he told me the story of what it was like for him at school, they did the worst thing to somebody who was dyslexic. He was seen as a trouble causer because he was struggling with the issues that he had.
Yeah.
So they put him in a corner of the room and give him a book and told him to read that. It wasn't there then. The signs weren't there that they are today.
Yeah.
So it sort of plucked at a bit of a heartstring really when he was telling me these stories. He had to go to a special school, but he's a big problem solver. He's got the benefits because of what he struggles. It makes him better at something else.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed talking to him actually and listening to him and finding out this that I didn't realise myself, that there are issues out there that people just take for granted.
Yeah. And I think it's good that you've had that sort of mindset to make it your problem to solve rather than it being his problem and leaving it.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna solve it, but it's certainly if you can help him, be a better person and a better engineer. And like I say, off the back of it, I think we've got 5 or 6 engineers in the same position in our region. So it's become quite a close little group now, and it's a safe space as well, where people aren't embarrassed to not be able to read something out or not to be able to understand something. And we help each other out as well, so there's other avenues that they want to go down. One of the engineers wants to go into coding, so put him on the right path, and you can help him out with different VTs that they can look at, because a lot of the VTs that you see on some of these learning sites, it's all words, and obviously it's a struggle for people like that, so I've sourced them different material that you can look at. So yeah, it's quite fulfilling actually, to be able to help somebody that way.
Your own children then, or you've got one, haven't you, Dave? One
Yeah,
child?
yeah.
Do you feel like you've had any sort of impact on their career choices?
Maybe not the career choices, because she's in retail, and I really didn't want her to work in retail because of my experiences.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously working time directive means she can only work so many hours, but she works in fashion retail, and she did well. She's just literally just switched jobs this week, but she'd been there 16 years. She was assistant store manager. She's done really well for herself. One of the things that I sort of pushed on her is sickness. And I had this phrase that if there was no bones broken or no blood gushing, she was going to work.
Yeah.
And happy to say that she's never took a sick day where she hasn't actually been ill. And I got that from my dad. My dad was he was quite authoritarian when it comes to stuff like that. You go into school, you go into work, you know, and I just think it was a good thing to pass down.
Yeah, and this was going to be my next question was, do you feel like your parents had any sort of influence or impact on your life and career choices?
I wanted to follow my dad. My dad was a mechanic for the RAC, and he worked his way up through, ended up working for, coincidentally, Virgin.
Yeah.
He ended up being one of the directors down in London. And I think this sort of made me take a step back about career-wise, because I used to see him coming home from work when we went down to visit him, and he was absolutely drained.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I don't want that to be me. You know, people have made an effort to come and see him, and he was that tired that he couldn't go out for a meal or he couldn't enjoy the weekend because his phone was always ringing and stuff. So, although he didn't impact which decisions I made on my career, he did sort of warn me off the trials and tribulations of being up the ladder, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Watching my dad, it wasn't. I wanted to follow him. I wanted to be a mechanic, to be honest, when I left school.
Yeah.
Because I remember he used to take us out on patrols when he was fixing cars and stuff, and he was a little bit of a hero, really, you know, fixing somebody's car and getting them on the way on the side of a motorway or towing them off to safety and stuff. And it was kind of like to me, it was kind of like a little mini Superman. And I really wanted to be something like that. But obviously, got into supermarkets, and the rest is history, really.
And do you see any traits of your dad coming out in yourself now, and you think, I'm turning into him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, yeah. And to be honest, I have to stop myself sometimes. My dad was always sort of just get on with it type of people, you know, type of.
Yeah.
And back when my dad was a manager, mental health wasn't even talked about.
No.
And even now, he's still quite shuttered off to that type of thing. If I was to say to my dad that I had some kind of mental health issue, he'd probably screw his face up and say, "What are you talking about? Not my son," type of thing.
Yeah.
So I do see, because I kind of grew up in that era where mental health wasn't prevalent or it wasn't spoken about, and now it's become sort of to the front. I have had to change my view on it. And it's a good thing, do you know what I mean? I didn't see it as a problem when I was going through my early career.
Yeah.
But now I can see. I watched a documentary on David Beckham on Netflix.
Yeah.
And he was 23 years old when he did that. I'm not into football, so I don't even know who he was playing. I think it was Argentina. I don't know. When he kicked out
the World Cup, yeah.
Yeah, kicked out of that lad, and the hate that he got for the year, a full-on year.
Yeah.
And he's roughly the same age as me, and there was no mental health. Nobody, you know, the club put their arm around him, but to be vilified for a year off the country,
yeah,
must have been absolutely. It must have absolutely piled on him.
Mm.
So, yeah, I don't. As much as I'd like to be like my dad, I don't want to be like my dad because he's very black and white. You know,
yeah. But I think we all have that same sort of scenario where we can pull on. It's going to be natural to have your traits of how you were brought up and what views your parents had, because they're instilled in at an early age into you.
Yeah.
I think it's just about awareness, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
because there is a lot of good things from that era, which I still believe. You know, work ethic and stuff like that.
I think work ethic's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's probably not something you see as much today, but and to be fair, you know, in them days you could probably walk out of one job and walk straight into another, where at the moment it's a little bit difficult with the current climate.
Yeah. And there were jobs for life back in those days, weren't there?
Yeah.
You know.
They were. Yeah. So if you started off as an engineer, you would finish your life as an engineer.
Yeah. Like mining and sawmills and stuff like that.
That's the thing. I mean, he's your typical Yorkshireman. You know, he's no disrespect to you, mate. I know you come from Yorkshire, but he's he he's so stubborn.
So your dad's a Yorkshireman?
He is, yeah. Dewsbury, West
I knew
Yorkshire.
there was something why I liked you, Dave. Even though you're over here in Manchester.
There's a funny story when Mum went into labour in Dewsbury, and she didn't want me to be born in Yorkshire. She wanted me to be born in Lancashire.
Right.
So she made my dad drive back to Lancashire, and she was in absolute agony in the car.
Oh, no.
Just so I'd be born in Lancashire.
Yeah.
And off the back of that, my dad never taught me. All my nephews are brilliant at cricket. Some of them have played for the first team, England first team.
Yeah.
And my dad never taught me how to play cricket. And when I asked him, I was quite hurt about that. And I asked him, he went, "It's because you could never play for Yorkshire." Because at the time, you could only play for Yorkshire if you were born in Yorkshire. So that's why he never taught me how to play cricket.
So I bet he hated your mum for that.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it didn't go down well.
Yeah.
But
so aside from work, then, Dave, what do you do to chill out of a weekend or an evening?
well,
Switch off.
we talked about golf. I play golf
Yeah.
when I can, and I like a drink. I
Yeah.
like to go out to town. I like to socialise. I like to people watch. There's nothing better than sitting in the Wetherspoons and just watching the world go by and watching how people interact with each other. And I like food. I'm a big foodie. So
Well, see, this is just reminding me of a story that I once heard from you.
is this the kebab?
Yes.
Oh no, mate. Oh no. I wish I'd never told this story.
Well, you said food and you said drink, and it just all come flooding back. So you're gonna have to tell me now.
So before my daughter was born, we had this. I had this thing going out on a Friday night with the lads,
Yeah.
and it was nothing raucous or anything like that. But I used to come home and I used to get 2 kebabs from the kebab shop. So I'd eat one on the way home because I thought I had this stupid thing that if I walked home that I'd sober up, which never happened. And then I'd eat the other one in the house when I got back in. So this particular night, I'd done the first one in, and then I got in the house, and I think 7 was on with Morgan Freeman's Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'll watch a bit of that, but I'll watch it in bed. So I goes upstairs and starts watching it in bed, and almost instantly fell asleep, and then woke up to the wife screaming at me with a tomato on her face, covered in chilli sauce. There was kebab sauce all over the bed sheets. She was going absolutely mental at me. So made one of her many rules is that you were not bringing another kebab back into this house. No, okay. So a few weeks later, I was out with the lads. Got 2 kebabs like I do. I thought I'll smash both of them in before I get home. Anyway, I tried getting out. I got halfway through the second one and I thought this isn't going to happen. So I put it in my pocket. I thought I'll eat it up for breakfast. There's nothing better than a bit of kebab in the morning. And then forgot about it. Put the coat in the jacket, put the coat in the thing in. Never wore my coat again for 6 months.
Oh God.
In the meantime, we had a vent to kill out. We had the floorboards up. We was convinced there was some kind of dead animal in the house. And it wasn't until about 6 months later that I put the coat on because the seasons had changed, and I put my hand in my pocket to discover this 6-month-old kebab in my pocket.
Brilliant.
Which she were happy about. I'd done so much. I don't know if I'm married to her. Yeah, she's still married to me, to be honest. There was I don't go looking for trouble, right? It just kind of knows where I am usually.
Yeah.
We went to a garden centre, and the wife's big into Yankee candles. Everywhere we go, if she sees a Yankee candle shop, she's in.
Yeah.
And as we walked into this garden centre, there's this huge display, this huge Yankee candle display. So I thought, I'm not standing there looking at this. So I'm going to go for a walk. So I ended up walking into the indoor garden centre a bit. And there was a big cage there with a white cockatoo in it. And there was a big sign on the front that said, "My name is Charlie, I'm a bite, please don't put your fingers in." A woman wouldn't put the fingers in, but a bloke is like, it's almost like, don't push that big red button.
Yeah.
You need to know
Tell me not to do it, I'm doing it.
Yeah, you need to know why you can't put your fingers in. So I put my fingers in, and this bird was quite receptive. It was, I was stroking it, and all of a sudden it hopped on my finger, and I couldn't get it off. And I was shaking it, trying to get this. And it's a big bird as well, you know what I mean? I was shaking it, and it wouldn't get off my finger. And then all of a sudden, the missus walked into this area that I was in. So blind panic, I just put the bird behind my back. And I don't even know where this conversation was going to go, because she obviously could see I've got guilt written all over my face. And she said, "What are you doing?" I said, I've got you a present. I said, I'll show you in car later. She So she went, what kind of present have you got me from the garden centre? She went, what really, what's behind your back? And then I pulled out this bird and she was like, oh my God. I said, it won't get off my finger. Put it back in the cage, and I'm trying to shake this bird off and it's just not having it at all. This poor bird's going up and down. And then I got this tap on the shoulder, and it was like one of the workers at the garden centre. And he went, can you not read? I went, yeah, but you know. And he said, put the bird back in the cage. I said, it won't jump off, mate. I've been trying for 15 minutes, it won't jump off. He said, just put your finger next to the perch. And I did that, and the bloody bird jumped off the thing and straight onto its perch. Could have killed it. Oh yeah, you don't let me out much.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you one final question, Dave.
Right.
If you could give one piece of advice to any of your former employers, what would it be?
Listen to your colleagues. The people don't listen enough.
Yeah.
They take, it might come across as a moan, but if you actually dissect what the person's saying, there's actually an issue behind it. And yeah, I know sometimes it's a tone or it's how somebody says it, but you know, rather than just blanketing everybody with the same brush, you've got to listen to some people's needs. And I go back to the neurodiversity thing that we do. You know, there's 20 people in a room, and a manager might say to somebody, right, let's everybody do this. Well, if that thing involves writing or reading, that one person's not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But if the manager had just took the time to listen to the engineer, he could have understood his issues and maybe changed the way he approached that particular project or that particular thing that he wanted to do. So yeah, definitely listen.
Listen, brilliant. Well, it's been great listening to your story, Dave.
Cheers, mate.
And some of the ad hoc stories that were at the end there, they were good. And I appreciate your time.
No worries,
Thank you for joining me.
No worries, mate. Thank you very much
for having me.
Dave. Cheers, pal.
Thanks, bye-bye.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit that follow button and join me next time for more chats on Nick Needs to Know.